Detroit Lions are having success that their team has never seen in decades. At the time you're watching this video, the Detroit Lions are currently on track to play their first home playoff game since 1993. Yes, 1993. That was the last time they played a home playoff game. More importantly though, the Lions' last playoff win was in 1992, January 5th of 1992. Where they defeated the Dallas Cowboys in that game. To basically put this into a perspective how wild that is, think about this. Jared Goff, their starting quarterback as of right now, was not even born the last time the Lions won a playoff game. At the time you guys are watching this video, the Lions are currently one of the first place teams in the NFC. And they still have a real shot at being the #1 seed in the NFC altogether. Now, they will lead the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys to lose some games. But, that can possibly happen. Is it a long shot? Yes, but it is still a possibility, a real possibility. But it will take some miracle working around the Lions for that to happen. If you look at the Lions all the way back during the 2021 season, not a lot of people thought they would be this good to the point where they could possibly win the NFC altogether to this point. But they are currently at that point in the season where there's a real shot they can do that. But let's look at the Lions over the past couple years, how it came to this point. So let's look at week 12. The Lions had just got blown out by the Houston Texans on Thanksgiving Day. After that, the Lions organization had enough. Not only would they fire Matt Patricia, but they also fired general manager Bob Quinn. Matt Patricia's time with the Lions, they would have a 13-29 record during his whole tenure there. Only did Matt Patricia fail at becoming a winning head coach during his time with the Lions. It was also said that a lot of players didn't like Matt Patricia during his time there either. Lions defensive back Darius Slay, now Eagles defensive back, said during his time with Matt Patricia that he did not respect him as a person. Multiple other players who formerly played for the Lions would also jump in and support Darius Slay's claims of Matt Patricia not being a good person. Based off what Darius Slay said, it was pretty evidently clear that nobody respected Matt Patricia or Bob Quinn, and that there was going to be a lot of work needed to repair the Lions as a whole. Start the rebuild process for the team. They would bring in former scout for the Rams, Brad Holmes, to become their new general manager for the team. Until that point, he had been a scout for the Rams since 2003. He was listed as an integral part of why the Rams managed to get Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, Cooper Kupp, and Corey Littleton. They would then bring in former NFL tight end Dan Campbell to become their new head coach of the team. Dan Campbell was a third-round pick in the 1999 NFL draft, selected 79th overall. He had played for the New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, ironically enough, the Detroit Lions from 2006 to 2008, and then the New Orleans Saints. He worked with the Miami Dolphins, where he was the coaching intern in 2010, the tight ends coach from 2011 to 2015, and he even was the interim coach after Joe Philbin got fired in 2015. He would then work with the Saints from 2016 to 2020 as the assistant head coach and the tight ends head coach, before eventually obviously getting his shot with the Detroit Lions as the new head coach. Looking at Campbell's first conference with the team, it's hard not to look at this guy and not see him as a confident guy, high energy guy, and a guy that was just full of confidence as a coach. Lions knew this team was going to need a huge rebuild, and if they need to rebuild this team, they needed to get rid of some players. And one player they would get rid of was their longtime quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Now, it was pretty clear from the jump that Matthew Stafford had established himself as a legend in the Detroit Lions fan base, in the community. He was loved pretty much everywhere around his fan base in the NFL. But the Lions, they needed to rebuild this team and look towards the future. Their first big decision pretty much came immediately as they traded Matthew Stafford away to the Los Angeles Rams. In exchange, they got back a 2021 third-round pick and 2 first-round picks in 2022 and 2023. And obviously, they would also get back Rams quarterback Jared Goff in the process. Only was Matthew Stafford now going from the Lions. Marvin Jones, former Lions wide receiver, longtime Lions wide receiver at that, would also be gone. And Kenny Golladay, who was one of the best Lions receivers in a while, would also be let go. It was pretty clear that this was a rebuild year for the Lions. They didn't trade for anybody, and they didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. However, they would pick up 2 guys who will be important parts for this team in the future, in Jamal Williams and Alex Anzalone. During the 2021 NFL Draft, the Lions would pick up a number of key players once again that would be integral parts for this team. 7th overall out of Oregon, they would pick up Penei Sewell, and you can see by the reaction of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes how hyped they were to get this guy. This guy was regarded as the best offensive tackle prospect in years, pretty much a generational type guy. They would also pick up Levi Onwuzurike, Aleem McNeil, and quite possibly their best pick in that draft, well, maybe their best pick in that draft, in Amon-Ra St. Brown. It ended up being a huge steal for the Lions, as you obviously will find out later on. The moves the Lions made this season, it was pretty clear that they were not expected to be contenders in any way, and based off that, they would lose 8 straight games to start the season. They would, however, snap that 8-game losing streak against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't win the game though, they pretty much tied them. That was pretty weird and odd. First win of the season wouldn't come until week 13 after they knocked off the Minnesota Vikings from a last-second touchdown in that game. The Lions would then proceed to win 2 more games against the Cardinals and the Packers, finishing the season 3-13-1. Once again, the Lions would still not be huge contenders during this free agency either, but they would get guys like DJ Chark, Jerry Davis, and Deshaun Elliott. But in the 2022 NFL Draft, they would make some big moves here. Second overall, they would get Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson. Now, at one point, he was projected to be the first overall pick in the draft. However, Teron Walker's stock went up a huge amount over the last couple days, and he was drafted first overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They would also trade up to get Jamison Williams, and they would also get a few number of key players in Kirby Joseph, Malcolm Rodriguez, and James Hudson. In that same offseason, they had also fired Anthony Lynn as their offensive coordinator, and they would promote Ben Johnson, who was already on the coaching staff, to offensive coordinator in the process. Lions would start the season pretty rough during the 2022 season, losing 4 out of their first 5 games. Lions were struggling pretty badly to this point. Their defense and their offense, specifically against the Patriots, were a big reason they started this way. They got shut out 29-0 by the Patriots, who started Bailey Zappa in this game. It was pretty clear that the Lions, they need to make some changes, and they need to make some fast. And they would make one big decision. November 1st, 2022, the Lions would trade TJ Hawkinson to the Minnesota Vikings. In exchange, they get back a 2024 4th round pick, a 2023 2nd round pick, and a 2024 3rd round draft pick as well. It seemed like the Lions were still looking towards the future, even though TJ Hawkinson was still a pretty good tight end. So this was a really weird move on their part. After trading TJ Hawkinson, the Lions would start winning. They pulled off a huge win against the Green Bay Packers. They did knock out the Chicago Bears by 1 point and put up a huge upset win against the New York Giants in Week 11. Lions then found themselves down, but clearly not out. They would lose to the Buffalo Bills in Week 12, but they would win 3 straight games, knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Jets. They would lose to the Carolina Panthers in Week 16 in their winning streak. However, they would knock out the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers in a game that would eliminate the Packers from the playoffs. Lions would finish the season 9-8. Unfortunately, this was not enough for them to make the playoffs, but the Lions still made a number of strides this season to prove that they may be a team to watch going into the 2023 season. Jared Goff had thrown for over 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, being one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL that season. Jamal Williams had rushed for over 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground. Amon-Ra St. Brown had over 1,000 yards as well, and he also had 6 touchdown catches. Aiden Hutchinson had a pretty good rookie year, having 9.5 sacks and 3 interceptions as a defensive end. James Houston, who I said before was one of their late round draft picks, had 8 sacks that season as well and a forced fumble. The Lions were having contributions everywhere on this team pretty much. Pretty much how Dan Campbell gained a lot of respect from NFL fans after seeing how much he got the Lions back into the mix and nearly got them into the playoffs after starting 1-6. The Lions would then go out and spend a good amount of money in free agency. They would bring in former Steelers corner Cam Sutton, longtime Lions wide receiver Marvin Jones we brought back. They would bring in former Bears running back David Montgomery, and they would also bring in former Saints safety and former Eagles safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. They would also make a few number of trades as well, trading away Jeff Okudah to the Falcons and also trading away DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. But their reason for trading DeAndre Swift was because with the 12th overall pick, they would get Jamari Gibbs from Alabama after trading up with the Arizona Cardinals. 18th overall, they would select Jack Campbell from Iowa. Then in the second round, they would draft Sam Laporta and Brian Branch, and also Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. Now we bring you back to present day, where the Lions are currently 10-4, and they are getting production from pretty much all their draft picks. Mario Gibbs has 792 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. He also has 296 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Matt Campbell has 75 tackles and 1 sack. He's been a pretty good linebacker to this point. Branch has 63 tackles, 2 interceptions, including one that went for a pick 6. But Sam Laporta has been an absolute steal. Over 700 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns as a rookie. In the process, the Lions have improved their team in so many ways than one since last year. Last year, the Lions had one of the worst rushing defense in the league. Now, they have a top 10 rush defense in the league. Lions secondary is, not bad, but it's improved. I'll just say that. Really good to see that Detroit fans have something good to cheer for, because let's keep it a buck. The Pistons, we all know they suck, and they suck right now. And the Detroit Tigers, well, they also aren't that good either. Luckily, with the Detroit Lions, they finally have something to cheer for once again. And they finally have a good football team in Detroit. Personally, the Lions are one of the teams I will be rooting for in the playoffs, because I love to see Cinderella stories, and I hope the Lions are one of those Cinderella stories in the playoffs. Dan Campbell's leadership is one of the big reasons why this team has succeeded to this point. Remember, in 2021, they started 3-13. They finished 3-13, in fact. They didn't make a lot of big moves. They would just stick to their draft picks and did what they had to do. Then in 2022, even though they started 1-6, once again, they would not panic. They would trade TJ Hawkinson, but they didn't make any more panic moves, and they would just keep fighting, and look what happened. They almost made the playoffs. Because they trust the process, well, look where they're at now. Dan Campbell definitely and could be the coach of the year, next in my opinion, DeMarco Ryans. Hopefully the Lions' success continues and they continue to be a good team moving forward, because let's be honest, Detroit, they need it, and they need it in a big way. But that's a wrap for this video. Make sure if you haven't yet, you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future football content. Follow me on all social medias down below in the description. I have Instagram, I have TikTok, I have Twitter. All that will be down below in the description. If you want to hit me up for video updates, just chat with me, see what I post on Twitter daily, even Instagram. You can follow me on all that down below in the description. But that's a wrap here. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.